NASCAR, they on the surface are supposed to be, yeah, I'm a redneck, I'm turning left and all this other stuff. But behind closed doors, Eric, they are one of the worst sports leagues for this stuff. And a lot of them have it. I still think NHL is the worst one overall. Basketball is pretty high up there. They don't try to hide as many things in basketball and hockey because they're proud of it, right? NASCAR doesn't seem proud of it, so they kind of just put it on their website. You don't hear news stories about this. You don't see them parading this out during events. They have an internship program where you cannot be white. It says black, African American, American Indian, Alaska Native, Asian, Latino, or Hispanic, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islander. And they're going to set you
Uh,
up with a mentor. They're going to set you up with exclusive access. You go to a race, you have this whole orientation. Then you meet with a mentor for lunch every week with a bunch of executives in the racing industry, but you
hang on.
mustn't be white.
Yeah, okay, I have a question. Black or African American? Do you want to do you want to sparse those two for me?
Those are the only two options, Eric. Either you're an African guy who lives in America, or the rest of the world's black population does not exist. It's all just black,
Okay,
which doesn't make sense because if you believe that everyone who's a black person in America is African American, then what else is there? What is there other than black? Because you're
I don't
basically
know.
already saying every black person's from Africa. Doesn't make any sense to me.
And that's why I always ask the question. I mean, do you guys in America's hat, do you guys
There's
say,
no African Canadians, not
yeah,
even an African guy from Africa who is now Canadian would be called an African Canadian. He would just be called an African guy or a Nigerian guy or just a black guy. But
and
yeah,
there's
we
there's
basically
a much big there's a huge difference, right? And I think I could be way off base here, but I think like actual Africans, whatever, Nigerians or Moroccans or whatever, would probably not want to be identified the exact same as a black person from America. Am I right?
I only would agree with that because all the African guys I've known, a few of them from East Africa, yes, they do not like North American black guys. So this side note, so this professor and lawyer that the Daily Wire asked said it's blatantly illegal and it seems to violate civil rights acts. So somebody's got to have a kid, a son or a daughter. We'll find out that should apply to this. That's white and just sue the pants off of them when they're not allowed. However, this is not the only thing they do. They also do other mentorship programs, other race development programs. They have a drive for diversity. They have this whole mission statement. They have a comprehensive training program for aspiring minority and female pit crew members and drivers is the same thing. Now they do have one caveat in the pit crew members. You can sorry, that's the wrong thing. So pit crew and driver development programs, minority and women only, or whatever they determine a minority to be. I'm sure there's some that they're missing that they're leaving out. Those bastards. But yeah, only male or only minority and females. And then Eric, I don't know if they have it here. Here's a picture of those pages from the Daily Wire. I'm not sure if the Daily Wire had it, but they also have a program. Yeah, they don't have it, but they also have a program where the supply chain favors minorities as well. So not for some reason it matters the skin color from which you get your car parts and stuff like that. And they added in that there's one caveat where it says, disabled people or veterans businesses um can be prioritized, which is kind of fine in the sense that those aren't things that are, that something that you're just your race or whatever. It's something that happened to you. You were born or became disabled or you went to war. I don't know if that's the right thing to do to just prefer these people. Maybe they're not the best for the job, but they did add LGBT businesses in there, of course. So either you have to be a racial minority as they see it, or a woman-owned business, or an LGBT business, and for some reason your goods and services for NASCAR car racing, maybe it's tire parts or equipment or something. Maybe it's even goggles. If you're from one of
Wait.
those groups, apparently we need to be connected with you, says NASCAR.
Okay, so you get this and you get reparations, right? So you get all of that stuff, and you, I mean, that's I believe in a little bit of a little mean, of course, we're eyeball deep in contradictions at this point. But so on the one hand, we get to demand reparations and burn stuff down and all that, and then on this hand, you got your race specific internships or whatever, and then you got your Bubba Wallace types out there. I mean, all of this is clearly completely through the roof. But where is this coming from? Is this one of those BlackRock? All right, because you mentioned at the beginning that they don't seem to be as proud of it, right? The NBA at one point painting Black Lives Matter on the floor and say her name on the back of the jerseys and kneeling on the towels and all of the theater that they were doing versus these people just kind of putting it up on the website quietly and not really advertising it. Maybe so. It seems to me, if that's true, I didn't do the research, but if that's true, then it seems like they want one group of people over here to see it, but they want their fan base not to see it. So where is it coming from?
I would agree with that, but to a detrimental point to that, they do have a Twitter page that's only it's really weird. I should find that for us too. But they have a diversity page on Twitter where it's like it's really creepy because they say it's a diversity page, they say it's for minority and women, and then all these pictures, it's only it. That on purpose they're only showing like a black guy and a Mexican guy for some reason, and that's really weird in this whole dystopian future where it's like, isn't this amazing? Only people based on this race. This is wonderful.
And I noticed here they actually use the word Latinx or Latinx or whatever.
Oh, I missed that earlier. That bums me out.
That's pretty dark stuff. So again, what do they really try? Obviously, none of we know now for the 13 millionth time that none of this is genuine. But if they're not really in the business of putting it out there,
here's who's doing it.
The National Minority Supplier, Women's Business Enterprise, National LGBT Chamber of Commerce,
and then just a small business administration. Okay. So this is how they do it. This is
but where are they benefiting from this? How are they actually benefiting from
because these companies say, hey, Democratic establishment, we need money for gay companies and female companies and such companies, and then they reach out to these places and then they're just like, look how great it is, you guys. How about we give you some money to hire only black Pacific Islander transgender people? And then they're like, wonderful. And then they go to the federal government and they're like, look, we put a Alaskan Native Two-Spirit non-binary person to the NASCAR supply chain. Aren't we good? We're good little people who did your bidding for you. Give us more money. And then the cycle goes round. That's how I think it works out.
Okay.